On this week's episode of the Mortgage Message Show, we're going to talk about video marketing in your business. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Mortgage Message Show. We are on location here at Hopscotch and Vine in downtown Plainfield, and I'm joined today by a very, very special guest, Mr. Tom Wyler of Social Vid Network. Tom, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing so good. This is such an exciting episode. We've been talking for a long time about getting you out from behind the camera and bringing you in front of this audience. And speaking about video marketing in your business, I think I want to start this interview off by first and foremost just asking, what got you into video?
Wow, well, that journey started about 32 years ago. I was, maybe 10, 11 years old, and I started doing stop motion videos with my action figures and stuff, and building sets. And one of my friends had an old audio mixer, so I figured out how to do tape-to-tape editing. So I would take my favorite movies and I would I would cut in scenes of my stop-go with, the movies, so like Star Wars or Blues Brothers, back when I was a kid. And it was just a lot of fun. That started from there. And then what really kicked it off, I think I was 13, 14 years old, went to go see Jurassic Park, the original, in the movie theater. And that was like, after I saw that movie, I was like, I want to make movies the rest of my life. So, and I've been on that track ever since.
And that track has been instrumental to so many people, and I kind of want to focus on a little bit of that in this interview. 25-year filmmaker, such a great start, great story of a beginning. And here we are. This is episode 6 of the Mortgage Message Show. And prior to this show, we've had a couple years together of producing video content. And really the basis of this show for me is to give our power partners, referral partners, strategic partners, anyone that's connected to a business, a little bit of an insight as far as how video marketing has really catapulted our business and what it's created for us. And so I think a good jump-off question is, what have you seen in the space of video marketing over these last few years since you've been so connected to it?
Just the trend of having the capabilities of anybody being able to do it. It's become very democratized since I came out of film school back in the early 2000s. And now anyone could shoot 4K on their cell phones and get really good image quality. Can't say for sound. That's a whole different thing, and that's 50% of the experience. But anybody can pick up their cell phone. They have the power of all of that, of being a filmmaker, right in their pocket or in their hand. It's amazing how many people don't utilize that. And so that's kind of where it's going. And then just the social media aspect of it, live video on Facebook, video premieres on Facebook, like we produce this show. So it turns into, we set it up as a premiere, so it premieres live every Tuesday, and you get more traction that way. So it's gone very much from being something that wasn't very obtainable for smaller businesses or medium-sized business, only for the big conglomerates or big corporations, to now anyone can utilize video marketing if they do it the right way for their business, whether a small business, medium-sized business, even the larger businesses too. So the landscape has changed, which has made it more difficult as an independent out there in freelance world to be able to do that, because a lot of these companies have figured out we should have an in-house department for this because it's very important to have that. So you're seeing more and more in-house departments like at Oakleaf, and a lot less on the freelance side as it continues to go. So that's the biggest thing I've seen with video marketing, and it's it's gone more from just using it as a sales tool to as a relationship building tool. So there's those things too. The authenticity of the story is important.
That's a real big takeaway, that last section, and that's something that you told me very early on when we connected about how video is a relationship tool, and that really stuck with me, and we've proven that. Kind of a good segue off of that last answer is speaking to how we at Oakleaf connected and was able to create that innovation within that department to bring video to our sales staff, and what that's done for the growth of the department with the branding of the name. Kind of just speak, if you can, to the innovation within, taking these lessons, these disciplines, and the growth that you've seen specifically to a local company, and how that footprint's been built really based off of that video connection.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll start with you. I mean, we actually, our connection happened here at Hopscotch 2 years ago. We met at the annual awards banquet. We made a lunch engagement meeting for here at Hopscotch, and I remember that meeting very clearly because we sat there for 2 hours and talked extensively about video and marketing and helping grow MortgageMessage platform for you. And I remember you saying, do you want a client or a partner? And I took a gamble and said, I'll get into this partnership with Crazy Joe. And it's been very fruitful, I think, for both of us ever since. And not just from the business side, but also from being friends and considering each other family, which I think is important too. There's a good balance there. And when I got brought on board to the Oakleaf platform, right away, Phil LaGiglia, who runs the platform at Oakleaf, encouraged everyone to jump on the video marketing train because he knew that you had a lot of success working with me before I came on, and it is really interesting over the past, it took 1.5 years, but now we've went from just doing shows with you and doing video marketing for the platform as a whole to now we have 5 shows. So we have your show, we have Mortgage Scoop with Tina Madliner, we have Home Plate with Paul Pratt. We also have Home Loans with BT Norman that's going to be coming out, and of course MortgageMessage. And so it's really cool to see that it's grown so much, and the fact that the other loan officers that are in the department are starting to get excited because they're seeing return. Like Paul did a 40-second teaser, and because he shared it on Facebook, he was able to get a refi opportunity out of that. And BT did an announcement video, and he got some traction from that and got some leads from that. And I know you've gotten quite a bit of business being involved on doing everything social media, but the video marketing piece has been very important to your growth. And just being able to feature the organization in such a way, and I have to give it up to Phil because he built the platform so that it doesn't focus on the company, it focuses on the individual, because he's a highly intelligent man, and he was like, people do business with people, so we want to brand the individual under the umbrella of the platform. And what that does is that opens up a ton of creative space, because everyone who is a loan officer in that platform has a different personality, and it's based on finding their interest and likes and how we can wrap that into talking about mortgages. So from the time I started back in, towards the end of first quarter 2019 until now, it's been leaps and bounds what we were able to do and how we've grown. And I'm very proud of that. And it's been great, and it's continuing to grow, and I love it.
Yeah, well, it's exciting. It's exciting bringing the creativity into the mix. It's exciting having the authenticity be revealed, and the branding that's been built of it. And, we always say that, doing business is having people know, like, and trust you. And we're both big proponents of video being that medium that allows people to know, like, and trust you better. And it always fascinates me when I do hear from, other entities, it doesn't even have to be in our profession, of them not really knowing the ROI of video based off of the trajectory of the last few years for our business. I bring that up to say, to the audience member who's watching right now, who has been watching and following us, or maybe this is the first time they're seeing us, but does have an inclination to incorporate video marketing into their business. Take them down the path that you would if you were meeting with them on the consultation side, to be able to kind of speak to what the expectation is and how to overcome some of those fears.
Well, I could say just watch any one of our office hours episodes Saturday at 8 a.m. on Facebook.
Nice plug.
Yeah, but no, I digress. But it really comes down when I do a consultation with a client, and even I did consultations with everyone on the platform too. and go through what they call a discovery meeting. So really figuring out what your goals are, what it is you want to do, how you want to approach it, and really learning about the personality. And then being able to take all that information and frame it into an episodic series, because I feel like that's really important. I think all the loan officers have gravitated towards that because it's a lot of fun. Two, it allows them to share something more personable about themselves and still relate it to the mortgage industry. So it helps in both turns. And so once we figure out what that is, then we create an outline for the show. Then it goes into branding with a logo and a name for the show that makes sense. And then from there, we start figuring out because you guys are so busy right now, which is great, figuring out a day of the week we can schedule maybe a 2-hour time slot that I can film with them, and I book them into that time slot, and I tell them, keep that time slot like you're meeting with a client or you're filling out an app for a loan. It's important for your marketing, it's important for your branding. So hold on to that, hold steady to that, and and everyone has. And so we shoot the episodes. I try to shoot 2 or 3 at a time. This show's a little different. We do it every week because it's a longer form show, but most of the loan officers are about, minute and a half, 2 minutes long, so we could shoot a couple shows. Then they're in the can for a couple of weeks, and if there's something that comes up, like it always does in our industry, it allows them not to have the pressure of saying, oh wait, I got to show up to do a show. It's already done for a couple of weeks, so if we have to maneuver or pivot or adjust, we can do that, and they don't lose screen time. And then once we figure out all of that, then it's the post-production process, going through compliance, and then turning it around as a deliverable and helping walk them through the steps. And I've also been incorporating that in how that plays out in on their Facebook page and distribution channels and doing all of those things. So that's kind of the process that you would get if you worked with me either on the Social Vid Network side or if you're a loan officer on the Oakleaf side, it's very similar. It's one and the same. It's kind of like how I like to run the ship. It's the smoothest way to do it and yields the best results, I feel.
Well, I'm really happy that you shared that last point, and it's a good distinction moment to identify, as video marketing manager and marketing manager for the Oakleaf Community Mortgage Platform. Along the way, we recognized that these disciplines were so effective as business owners that we wanted to create another platform that invited other industries, other loan officers, other real estate agents, other industries completely, to be able to leverage our knowledge and our know-how and to be able to have us as a resource to do it. Social Vid Network was born through that. Speak to kind of what I have found to be the real how do I say the hot menu item on the Social Vid Network side of businesses looking to grab a signature video for their business. Kind of speak to that and speak to that offering.
Having a signature video, what we call a signature video, is a documentary-style cinematic video with interviews and B-roll and really telling the story of the business, the why, the how, the unique parameters of it, really inviting the viewer in to get an idea and start figuring out who the person behind the business is and what the business is all about. Because nowadays everyone wants to know who they're doing business with before they even, pay online, do a check if that's still something that a lot of people do. Before they make a payment, they want to be able to know, like, and trust the person they're doing business with or get a good feeling about them. And I always have said that video, essentially is a sales tool, yes, but for me, it's a relationship building tool. It gets you in front of people that you would not normally be able to get in front of and have that face-to-face engagement, and they can see the real person who runs that business, that platform, and get a chance to, if they don't necessarily connect on the first one, they might connect on the second or third video that comes with that. But the signature video is all about it's storytelling about the business and the people in the business. So it's a very authentic, peel the onion back look at the inner workings of that person's business and the person who's running it.
So good. I wanted to comment on a couple things there. First and foremost, it's been a great journey with you on establishing that likability, trustability, awareness, because we've been to many networking events where as soon as I walk in, I'm greeted with a conversation that starts, "Hey, I just saw what you posted. That was really cool." And it got me thinking, essentially what video has allowed me to do is to have conversations with hundreds of people. And the conversations are happening by me posting a video, but it's a conversation that they're having with me by viewing my video. And the minute that I see them in person, they're just continuing that conversation. And it was an unlocked moment for me just now as you were saying that, because it made me realize that I'm building that rapport with them long before I ever meet them or long before I ever see them. When we met and we started this journey of video marketing together, you were very much focused on the story. Speak to our viewers about how important it is to share your story through video.
Our tagline is document your journey. That's the Social Vid Network tagline. And I think it's really important because it's a form of communication with people, and it's a way to keep everybody up to date on what's going on in your life, in the life of your business, and continuing that conversation even though you're not physically in front of them or have them on the phone or in a Zoom call nowadays. It allows that person to continue to go along and see your progression as a business, as a person within that business, without you having to really interact with them in any shape or form. And story is so important. Everyone loves story. Everyone loves characters. And if your business has strong character and people in there of strong character, then that yields a really great storyline, and people want to hear that. Story is as old a time. Every great movie that's ever come out has had great characters and great story. People don't necessarily talk about great movies. People don't talk about plot lines. They remember pieces of dialogue a character said, or they remember the story that came out of that particular movie, not like, oh, they were going from here to chase this. It was something within that story that unlocks, through the progression of that unlocks something. So that's why story is so important to me, because that's what it allows the business owner to do if they gravitate towards video marketing, is allows them to take the viewer or their target audience on a ride through their journey of going through their business and seeing the intricacies of that. And that's powerful. That's what builds relationships. That's what makes people say, I really love that. They're vulnerable. That's cool. It might turn some people off, but then they weren't your client in the first place.
That's great. I really appreciate what you said in regards to being able to have that story be what's magnetic. I'm going to throw you a little bit of a softball here, but I would love for you to share with the audience about the objection someone might have who's watching, who says, well, there's already a mortgage person in my market who does video. Well, there's already an insurance agent in my market that does video. There's certainly already a real estate agent in my market that does video. Speak to the person on that objection.
Yeah, but they're doing their version of their personality, of their video. So it's about them and who they are. You are a unique person. So you have a unique story to tell, and everyone has a story to tell. That's the beautiful part. It may be the same industry, the terms may be the same, some of the information that gets passed along is obviously the same, but it's a different way of saying it. And just because someone else in your industry's already started to say it in a specific way, that doesn't mean that the people that they are intending to have listen to that message are hearing it correctly. Maybe you're the person that delivers that message that unlocks something for them. So I would just say that's bunk. Do it anyway. Hit record. and start documenting those things. And what it really does is it, over time, it puts you into that expert space where they look at you as the expert in your space for what you do. And so when they finally, like you say, you walk into places, I mean, we can barely walk downtown for 2 seconds, and it's like, hey Joe, hey Joe, hey Joe, hey this, hey that. And it takes.
And I say, thanks Tom, thanks Tom,
Yeah.
thanks Tom,
Well,
thanks
it
Tom.
takes an hour to walk through downtown when it's usually a 10-minute walk, when
Right.
we walk with you. But that's to your credit. You've built that through time, and you are smart enough to say, hey, I'm going to take this, get out of my comfort zone. Because at the time, you're like, really? I remember the first Mortgage Message show we did, like cruise nights that one year. The opening of cruise nights is like, Joe, we're going to go in the middle of cruise nights. I'm going to tape you walking down the middle of Lockport Street, and we're not going to talk about mortgages. We're just going to talk about Plainfield. And you're like, wait, what do you mean we're not talking about mortgages? I'm like, just trust me on this.
That was a big moment.
And that was a big moment because after that, you put that on there and you had over 4,000 organic views without having to pay an ad, and you got traction out of that, and you built brand through that because people were like, oh cool, he's not hitting me over the head with, hey, you should refi or purchase. It was, hey, I'm a member of this community, I'm a valued member of this community, I'm a community leader, and I'm just bringing valuable information that uplifts the community. And I think that's the most important thing.
That's great. That's great. We just and are still going through a pandemic. We have been forced to be on Zoom calls. We've been forced to see ourselves on video. I think we've hit a real milestone moment in the video marketing journey. And I think what it's done is it's opened up quite a bit of opportunity for people to get over themselves and to realize how they look in person is how they look in video, and they can't change it. My question to you is, as we face this challenge that the country and the world is facing, and we realize that the way of doing business is going to be changed, the fundamentals will stay the same, but the way it's done will be changed. Speak to this next decade in front of us and how important video marketing will be to any business owner who's watching today.
It's already the most important thing. It's already here. It's already landed. And, we've talked about this quite a bit on our other show where, at the time we were saying you have 2 to 3 years. Well, that time just rapidly shrinks daily. And a lot of it has happened because of the pandemic. People who were like, I'll never do that, had gotten forced into being uncomfortable to be able to do that, and now they're seeing that it actually is a way of doing business. So it's changing the landscape, and it's going to continue to. And I'm not one to throw a net that far out into the future of 10 years, but it's going to be everything you see. I'm not going to say that print's going to be gone, because I love print still. There's something about it that's really great and tactile, and you can hold it. And I'm not saying that, the arts as far as paintings and different things like that, that'll always be around. There's the digital age of that's already been here for a while, but when it comes to video, anything you see on Facebook, especially now, more than 3/4, almost 90-something% of the stuff you see on your newsfeed, whether it's mobile or desktop, is all video. There's very little images and very little text, and the ones that are still doing the images and text haven't taken the leap into that new frontier. And if they don't, eventually they're going to get left behind. So it's going to come to a point where people are either going to have to pivot and gravitate towards that, or they're not going to be relevant anymore. And so it's a really exciting time in the space. The technology is there. It's pretty amazing what you can do for very little to no money. Where when I was in film school, man, we were working on $100,000 camera bodies and $90,000 film lenses, and the only way you were going to ever work on that is if you worked for a big ad agency that got the budget from the client that would be able to pay for something like that. And now it's changed to the point where we are shooting on DSLR, high-end DSLR cameras and getting amazing output from that for a small footprint price. And there's even things out there that are even less expensive that people can get a hold of to do that. And then you talk about the YouTube platform and how people have made careers just being YouTubers and have made amazing money, even kids doing it, and it's all going that direction, and it's all going to be very digital based. I think there's always going to be a thing for person-to-person interaction. That is obviously never going to go away, but the way of doing business, especially in the climate that we're in now, is definitely going to change. And I think you're also going to see a lot. It's going to change from the standpoint of people actually having to have brick and mortar buildings to do business that used to feel that was the only way to do it, now know that they can actually conduct business from the comforts of their own home and keep costs down, keep capital down. And that's all based around video. It's just a different way of utilizing video, but it's all video.
I love what you said about how the future is here today. And I always challenge any business owner that I have a conversation with about video. I challenge any of them. And I challenge my audience here today to go find the top 10 most successful people in your industry. And I challenge you to tell me that they don't incorporate video into their business, because the answer is 10 out of 10 do every time. And as a segue to that point, I just want to say I'm so thankful to have met you, to have built what we've built thus far, and the excitement of what's to come, because you've helped me reach a level of positive influence in my community and within my business and marketplace through video. And I love being a walking testimony to everything that we talk about. And thank you to all of you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Mortgage Message Show. We hope you got a ton of insight, and we hope that you've been inspired to enter your journey of video marketing. We look forward to seeing you next week. Take care, everyone.